Hello everybody, it's Gemma here from made-by-gemma-crafts.co.uk. Thank you for joining me again today. Now, in last week's video tutorial I made this box card here. Well, not this exact one, but we made this one here, which, as you remember, I haven't really finished off because I hadn't really planned out where I was going to put my embellishments on the top, so I wasn't too happy with it. But the original card is this one here. And again, I've made up another one using the Delightful Daisy suite from the annual catalogue. This one has been made in Tranquil Tide cardstock, and I've used again some of the designer series paper from the Delightful Daisy stack. As I said in last week's video tutorial, I was going to show you how to make the box that the card fits in. So that's what we're going to do now. So if I just pop, so I'm going to make one that goes with this card here. So I just pop that out of the way, and I've got my bits here that we need. It's a fairly simple box. I've had to add on a piece. You'll see here I've got a little piece of Tranquil Tide cardstock. Now I'm using that to add on to make the closure for the top of the box. So the main piece of card you're going to need is a piece that measures 10 inches by 8 1/4. That's for our box. This small piece here is 4 1/8 by 1 1/4. And then we've got 2 strips of our coordinating designer series paper. You'll see I'm just using reverse sides of these pieces, and this is what we're going to use to pop around our box to decorate it as well. I'm also going to use some twine. I've got a little bit of twine here. I think this is left over from one of the card kits. I will double check to see if they have a twine in the catalogue. If they have, I'll put the details on my blog. But for now, these 2 strips of designer series paper, one measures 2 1/4 by 12 inches and the other measures 1 3/4 by 12. Also going to do a little bit of stamping, so I've got some Whisper White here. You'll see I've already been stamping out and punching out some daisies already, so I'm not going to waste anything. So we shall use this piece, and I'm just going to grab my stamp set. So again, I'm using my Daisy Delight stamp set, and I'm going to stamp my flower in Tranquil Tide. If I can get it out of my little rack here, there we go. So I've got my ink and a stamping block. So I'm just very quickly going to stamp this flower for the front of our box. Just going to stamp that down. Now I just need to put in the little middle of the daisy. I'm going to use some Daffodil Delight for that. Grab another block. And I'm going to use the little centre, the little speckly looking one. And I'm just going to pop that down in the middle of my flower. So this is super easy, speedy stamping as well. Okay, so I'm going to get my punch and punch out my flower. As I said, this is a really quick and easy little box to pop your let's take the corner off. Can't quite get it in. See, the joys of making videos, you don't always get it right the first time. Ooh. It's really hard trying to line it up without it right under my nose. There we go. Hopefully that's good. So there's our stamped one. And then I'm going to grab another piece out of my scraps of Tranquil Tide. Is that going to be big enough? Just big enough. I'm going to punch out of the Tranquil Tide cardstock. And then I've got some more of my designer series paper here, and I'm just going to punch one of those out there. And that is all our punching done. Now on this box here, I've made a little tiny "For You" tag here. Now the stamp I've used for that is in the daisy stamp set again, and it's actually the one here. I'll show you on the box. It says "For Your Kindness," but what I did was I've masked off the R and the kindness, so it just says "For You." There we go. Great example of making our stamps say what we want them to say. And I'm just going to grab a little tiny piece of Whisper White, and you can see on here that I've already masked this off, and I've used some Night of Navy on there, so it's slightly stained. But all I'm going to do is just grab some washi tape, snip it with my scissors so it's a nice straight edge, and then mask off the R and the word kindness. Oh, sorry, I'm just going to have to take this out of view of camera for a second so I can pop it in the right place. So there we go, I've masked that off. If I grab my Tranquil Tide again, oh my goodness, it's really snowing again. Just looked outside. A right blizzard. Isn't the weather just insane at the moment? So there we go, I've inked up my stamp. So I'm going to take my washi tape off, get rid of that, and then I'm just going to stamp this down near the top so I can trim this down. Ooh. And so, there we go. So now we've just got the words "For You." I just love playing with stamps and changing things up. So let's pop it over there for now. So we're going to trim that down as well. I'm just going to grab my paper trimmer, and we're just going to trim it down so it's just a little slither. So just line up where you want it, and we can trim some of that off there. And again, we're going to use the punch from the True Gentleman Suite in the Spring Summer catalogue, just to shape the end of our little banner. There we go, so there's that done. And we can just grab a bone folder and bring in our punched out daisies, and we can just go over and give some shape and dimension to our petals, just using a bone folder. And then we can put these together and pop it to one side, and then we can put our box together. There we go. So what I tend to do is line them up, grab my glue in the middle, and then just layer them up. Because we're using wet glue, we can give them a wiggle around once we've stuck them, put them in place. So there's our flower ready and our little banner. So I'm just going to pop them to one side, and I'm going to grab my scoreboard and the piece of card that we're going to use for our box. I've just got to find my instructions again, and my score tool as well. I keep losing everything. There we go. So now with our long side, which is our 10-inch side, across the top of our scoreboard like this, we are going to score it at 2 inches, 2.5 inches, 6 3/4 of an inch, and 7 1/4 inches, like so. And then we're going to rotate 90 degrees, and we are going to, so we've now got our 8 1/4 inch side across the top, and we're going to score it at 1/2 inch on that side, and then we're going to flip it around again so we can score it at 1/2 inch on this side. So that is our scoring done on our big piece of card. If we bring in our little tiny piece, we are then just going to score this on the 1 1/4 inch side at 1/2 inch. And that is all our scoring done. So we can get rid of the scoreboard, and let's bring in our big piece of card. Now we can, what's the bone folder? There it is. Score we can fold and furnish all these score lines across here. So we should have 4 on this side and then 2 small ones on either end. A good push down, like so. There we go. Now we are going to do some cutting. So pick one end to be your bottom and then your top. So I'm going to take this edge here that's closest to me as the bottom of my card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to snip up these little short score lines here, these 2 little rectangles. Then we're just going to take a tiny notch out of either side as well. I'm just going to do the same here and on this side as well, like so. And then what we want to do is on these 2 outer rectangle flaps here, we're going to trim a tiny amount off of this side here. So I'm just going to take a really little sliver off, like so. And then I'm going to do the same on this one here as well. I'll just cut along by hand a little piece off. So these 2 little flaps on either side are slightly shorter than this one here. Now for the top of our box, what we need to do is again cut down on these pieces here. So we're going to go in and snip either side of this one here and here, because we need to remove some pieces now for the top of our box here. So you'll see that my closure is fitted onto the long rectangle in the middle, so we need to take away our outer rectangles on this one. So this one here on this side and this one here, we need to remove these completely. So you want to do this nice and slowly and neatly, because this is going to be visible on your box. So that's one side, there we go, and the other. Like so. So now we've got all our bits cut out that we need to cut, and we can put our box together. So to fix this together, we're going to put some glue on our flap here, and then we're going to fold this over and then fold it flat so we can stick it down. So I'm going to fold in on the second score line here, and then when I've put some glue on this one, I'm just going to fold over on the first score line there to make the box fit, like go flat, to stick it down. So I'm going to get some glue. Actually, I'm going to use some fast fuse because it's going to, obviously we don't need to wait for it to dry. I'm just going to run a line across there. If you want to use wet glue, you can. Obviously, I'm just doing this so it's not, doesn't come apart as I'm showing you. So now I can push that down and I just open that back over. You see my cutting hasn't been very accurate there because I've got a little lip, but I can trim that off in a moment, it doesn't matter. So now we need to put the bottom of our box together. So what we can do is fold in our pieces where we trim some off. So that's going to sit in. Then we're going to fold in our 2 little flaps on either side. Then they will go, and then this front one will come over the front, so the front of our box is nice and neat. So we can put, I will use a bit of wet glue on this one, so it's really difficult to get the fast fuse on. So I'm just going to put some glue across this flap here, and then these little ones here, I'm just going to pop a little tiny bit on these as well. So we're going to fold this one down, our tiny little flaps over, like so. Just hold that for a second, and then I'm just going to pop a little bit more glue on those little outer flaps as well, so we can stick our box together on the bottom securely. So I'm just going to fold that over, just tuck that down so it stands up, and just give it a good push down with your fingers to get it to stick. Now I've put the little flaps on the inside between these pieces of card, so your card, when you put it in the box, it doesn't get stuck on either side on the inside. There we go. So now the top of our box. So if I just trim this off, where I wasn't very neat with my cutting, just even that up slightly. So we've got our two little flaps, and then we've got our long one here. Now this is where we're going to need our other piece of card, so you can just fold and burnish this on the score line. Now we're just going to do a little bit of trimming on this. We are going to take a little tiny notch off of that side on the 1/2 inch side, and then on the bigger side we're going to take a slightly bigger notch, like so. And then we're just going to do that on the same side, on the other side, sorry. Like so, and then a slightly bigger notch on that side there. That's just so you can tuck it into the box easily and the edges don't get stuck. So what we need to do now is stick this piece onto the flap of our box here. You'll see that I took off these notches, so it will sit just inside the edges and won't stick out. So if we get some glue on here, and I would use wet glue for this as well, so you can position it and get it into exactly the right place. We can then glue this on here, just line up, make sure it's all nice and kind of straight. There we go. Oh, wiggling all over the place now. So we'll just give that a good push down, and then just to make sure it shuts properly, we can fold our little flaps in and tuck in our top, and you'll see that that fits in there very nicely, and it's now our box for our card. So what we want to do now is decorate our box. So let's grab our designer series paper. So I'm going to do them separately, because if you stick them together they can get a bit bubbly and not quite right. Now the good thing about the designer series paper is you don't have to score it, so you can just lay it across your box and just use your fingers to crease it in the right place, and then pick up one side and then the other, and just, yeah, again use your fingers just to crease it around the edges of the box, and then you can turn it over and you'll see, hopefully it'll be nice and straight. So we can pop some glue here and stick that one down like so. And remember, this needs to be, well, it doesn't have to move up and down, but you don't want to do it too tight. So that's that one. And then for the other piece we can grab that and again pop it over the top, the opposite side of the design showing through. Again, crease it with our fingers around the edges of the box, turn over, and then for this one I'm going to put some on this end here and the opposite end as well, just so that sticks down to the other piece of patterned paper underneath. Just make sure you got it straight. Again, using wet glue, you've got time to give it a little wiggle around to get it straight. There we go. So that is our patterned paper around our box. And you can crease that down with your fingers as well, like that. Now we've got our flower and our little tag that we made. I'm also going to grab my twine and just going to grab some of this. Now this is all crinkly where it's been on the, like the little bobbin. So all I do is grab my bone folder and stretch it. Go across, kind of like you were curling the ribbon, but as you see it then straightens out and you haven't got any kinks in it. It's a little bit wavy, but there's no big kinks in it. So now all I do is grab a glue dot. I can find one here. So I grab a glue dot and pop that in the middle. and then put one end of my twine on the glue dot, and then I just wrap it round a few times, whatever way you want. Be artistic or not, it's up to you. And then come around again for the third one. So we've got our twine wrapped around 3 times. I'm just going to snip that off there, and I am going to grab another glue dot to pop on top. There they are, looking for them right in front of me, just to pop on top of that extra piece of twine so it doesn't move anywhere. There we go, so stick that one on there. Ooh. So there's our twine, and we can use a bit of ribbon as well, so I'm just going to cut a lump off, give it a twist. Just going to fold this in half, and again just going to use a glue dot on the inside to hold the ribbon. So just to hold that, fold it in half, and then at the other end, once I've folded it in half, I can pop a glue dot on that side, and we can stick that on there. Then we can use another glue dot to pop the For You on. Oh, I might need to move that a little bit like so. So let's have that sticking up there. And then on top we're going to have our flower. Again, let's use some more glue dots. Don't you just love glue dots? So I'm just going to pop my flower on, slightly off centre. There we go. And there is our box decorated. So now you can open up your box and fold your card flat. There we go, and this should fit. The other one fitted in, so no, my luck, this one won't. So we just fold it down flat and just pop your flowers. Nope, see, just my luck, it's not going to fit. What you can do is just fold in your little petals, give it a push in. It will, when it pops out, it will be fine. Here we go, and then we can just shut our box, and there we go. We've got our lovely boxed card to give to our recipient. Now, thank you for watching today. As always, all the measurements and everything I used in today's video will be on my blog, and a link to that will be in the description box below. Until next time, happy crafting. Thanks, bye.